if you play 1,000 games and you maintain an MMR, then that's the MMR you belong at. I think that should be pretty undebatable. It's just, I think people want MMR to mean something else, where it's like people want MMR to mean like your skill or like your value or how, good you might be on a professional team or something. And if you think about it directly, like the thing that I can stand behind, the statement I can stand behind for sure, is that MMR is a measure of your ability to influence a pub game into a win. And if you play 1,000 matches and you are your MMR solidly, then like that is by definition what a 2K MMR or 10K MMR or whatever support and core look like. They just do different things for the game. But like that is the level of gameplay that makes that winning percentage at that MMR.
Welcome to the Dota Club Podcast. I'm here with a very special guest, Mr. albinozebra1, otherwise known as AB1. He peaked at rank 200 EU, which relatively is about rank 10 to 20 in North America. He's a position 5 player. He's played on professional / semi-professional teams before. Did I miss anything, Mr. AB1?
No. I'm just a NA Dota player. Played in the DPCs. Been here a while. Played a lot of unranked with my friends in US East. just around.
Yeah. Were you always like super high MMR, or what did your kind of like climbing journey look like? Because I know it's different for everybody. I'm so curious always.
Well, I started playing the game, I think like May of 2013.
Okay.
And that was just like my first set of online friends that I met in Minecraft. Like we had a Skype group, way back when. And I just joined the call one day. And then instead of like playing Minecraft, they were talking about like being a fat man and hooking people. And I'm like, what game are you playing? So I didn't even have a Steam account, so I made one. And then I played it with them the next day. And it was just a lot of fun.
Wait, before
so
you
for
continue,
a long time, I was very casual.
Weird is the exact same thing happened to me. My Minecraft online friends introduced me to Dota. It's so weird. I wonder if that pipeline is like a thing. But continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're all good. But so for a long time we were really bad and we just played for fun. We would, we were all like 13, 14. So we would get mad at each other and we would queue some party queue, some ranked, some unranked. And, no one was good. Like I think the best in our friend group, maybe like a couple years after that was like 3K, 4K. So.
In like 2015, 2016.
Something like that.
Wow, so you really decided to take this seriously like later, or at least later than I thought. Also I think you and I are the same age, which is funny.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
I'm 25.
Yeah, wow. We were in middle school. It's like a very similar pipeline, Minecraft to Dota, like when we were in middle school. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think there's probably more of us, but it's like probably pretty specific to our age.
Yeah. No, because that's about the time when Minecraft like really hits. But okay, so what changed then? So you're playing casually. I'm assuming when you were playing casually, you were like owning, right? Because you probably have some. No. Wow. No. Okay, we got an inspiring story here. He doesn't have much natural talent.
No, I was average in my friend group, if below average, or if not below average. And I think I played everything. Back then I would just random and have fun. And, we had like one of our friends like playing mid, another like playing carry only. So I'd probably play like support and offlane the most, but pretty diverse. Like back when I played casually, actually I took like the biggest thing I took pride in was not my MMR, obviously. It was like how diverse I was because I just played everything. And like my if you went on Dota Buff and you like see the chart of like your most played heroes, most people it's like 300 games of one guy and then like 100 games of the next, and then a bunch in that range, and then maybe drops down to like hardly any games of most everyone else. For me, it was just like a flat line. Like my most played had like 120, and then my 50th most played had like 90.
Yeah.
But I think that what initially started like the process of me getting better.
Yeah, was it like a switch, or did you just naturally like fall into kind of a ranked like flow?
I didn't care about ranked that much. I think what it was my my other friends stopped playing as much, and I wanted to find a new group to play with. So actually what I did, I haven't thought about this in a long time, but I remember what I did is I went on to like the Dota, not the main Dota Reddit, and I don't even have an account, but it's like the looking for team Reddit, or like looking for, I don't know. It was something where people,
that, yeah.
They like posted their MMRs,
Uh-huh.
and then they're like, add me. So I didn't have an account, so I just like didn't leave a comment or anything. I just added a bunch of those people and saw who would accept random friend requests. And one of them was Pingu, who is another niche NA player, but plays my role and ended up, getting really high MMR. And at the time he was like 5K and I was, I don't know, maybe 3K or something.
I know Pingu, yeah.
So I started playing with him and like met some of his friends, and then I got better just by playing with better people. And then I still didn't ever play ranked. I was probably like actually I wasn't even 3K. I was like 2.7, like 2.2K MMR, and playing with my friends that were like 5.5.
Unranked. You're playing unranked with them.
Playing unranked.
Wow. Yeah.
And then one day, and clearly I was like improving much, I was way better than 2K. But then one day Pingy was just like shit talking. And then he's like, I don't know, said something like, you can't reach 5K or something. Or like, if you can, then just do it. Something along those lines. So then I decided that I wanted to. And like, I went from 2.2 to like 5.5 or 6K or something in record time. I don't remember the numbers just because it was so long ago, but I remember the patch. It was the patch when denies, I forget if it was gold or XP, but when you got a deny, you actually got something.
Oh, it was XP. That was broken, man. I hated that. That was so annoying. Wow.
So
yeah. And at the time for the viewers, 5 or 6K was probably like, dude, honestly, like 8 to 10K now.
Maybe I think the high, I think
5 to 6K, because the highest was only like 7 or 8, right? Miracle like just hit 7K or 8K.
Something. It was good. It would be like immortal.
At least, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, and it wasn't 2015. That was like the start of it, but like at this point, it's probably like 17 or something.
I see. So did you only solo queue then for your climb in record time?
Yeah, I felt like I wanted to do it in a way that like wasn't debatable and like wasn't cheesy, and like no one could call me boosted. So I solo queued and I played, like I had a strategy to climb. So like I played mid and carry, and I played lane dominators. Like I would play Viper mid back when Nether Toxin was a passive.
Oh, I see your strategy. Back when denies gave you XP, you picked the Viper and you denied every creep.
So I would be up against like 3K MMR invokers, and then I would have like 3x denies of their last hits, and then I would be like 3 or 4 levels up or something.
Oh my god.
And then this is my bread and butter on the middle lane. So like I knew they would get mad. So the only thing I had to tell my team is like at 8 or 9 minutes, I had to tell my team that like this invoker is gonna make 3 people gank me in like 1 minute. And if my subs are ready to TP in and turn that, it's a triple kill. Because I can't like escape the gank, but I'm absurdly fat. I'm so tanky. I have like max corrosive skin. So it's like we'll just triple kill them if you guys are ready
Yeah.
to TP.
That's
And then that happened like 10 times in a row, and then they would always abandon. Like if the gank failed, they would just abandon.
Yeah. What I like about this is that you had like a formula that worked for you in ranked, and you just like repeated it. And I'm sure there was some experimentation that had to go into like you finding what worked for you. It's really good.
The other one was carry, because the knives were broken, so it was like a tri-lane meta. So then I would get like an advantage in the lane and get equilibrium, and then the only thing I had to do is I had to tell my subs like, don't ruin lane equilibrium to go for the kill on him. And then I would I'm such a boring player, I would static the wave for like 9 minutes, and then I would end the lane with like 56 denies. and then I would just carry the game. I'm just like some random PL.
Yeah.
Wow. But as I got higher and higher, I played like mid and carry to make it fast. But then when I got like towards 5K, I switched to support.
And did you know you wanted to be a sup when you were playing mid and carry climbing?
I think at that point in time, I knew that I was better as a sup than anything else. But I always liked offlane as well.
I see.
Yeah.
So I have, I coach players like for my YouTube channel. And I coach some support players. And this is an idea that I've been playing with recently, and I really want to get your take on it. So I think somebody like who I also respect a lot as a Dota player told me that people should climb to like 4 or 5K on mid or carry. And then if they want to play sup, they should switch to it then. Because playing mid and carry gives you like a really good mechanical baseline that a lot of support players like don't really have. So what are your thoughts on that in general? Like, do you think that people below like 4 or 5K right now and they want to play sup should be climbing on sup, or do you think that they should learn mid or carry first and then switch to sup? Or do you think it doesn't matter?
I think that it depends on a couple of things. I think that if you think that you are a 4K player and you are 3.3K MMR and you know you're a better sup than mid and carry, I think you should just play sup to 4K. But I think if you think that you're a 6K player, 7K player, and you're a 3.3K MMR, then it's probably better to play a role that lets you have a bit more sway over the game in the games that you should be crushing. You end the games fast, and you destroy your lane and you go kill people. It's just faster and easier. And I think that in general, there is like an underrated amount of benefit from playing other roles. I think that, like, a good example, one of my best Dota friends, Speed, for a long time,
he was
an offlane player.
Yeah.
Yep. And now he is having the most success in his career, and he is +5. And he's always sort of had an interest in playing support, and he's always been a pretty decent support. But it's not like all those hours of offlane were wasted. And he has a lot better mechanics than a lot of 5s. And he knows much more about what the offlane that he's playing against wants. So things like that help in lane. But I remember Speed, he would always make fun of, like when he watched my replays, he'd make fun of me, but really was making fun of support players. Like when I would miss CS, like if my carry dies and then I have to CS against, some like 12K offlane player, this guy would just be denying me. Or like, some of the core mechanics I would be not as good at as people of my MMR that are in other roles.
And you know what's interesting about that is on support, every last hit that you have the opportunity to get matters so much more.
Yeah,
right. Than on carry. So missing those CS on support, which is such a classic, by the way, like people on support and lower MMRs, like just missing the CS, like it's actually really important. It's really important. But dude, I feel like most good support players I know played core first. Do you also see that pattern? But I don't know as many good support players as you.
I think that my pattern is much more common than Speed's. Like Pyne used to play offlane. I think that like having a baseline of core when you were low MMR, and then deciding you want to be a support player at higher MMR is pretty common. But like going from, years and years of training offlane at a high level to switching to support, I think that's pretty rare.
Yeah, that's very different. When I was asking that question, I was talking about the former, just like played core, climbing up the ladder, then switched to support pretty high. I think I'm going to start recommending my support students like learn core actually, who are lower MMR. I just think that mechanical baseline you can't really get elsewhere. But honestly, when I play 5, so I'm a carry player. I feel like when I play 5, I have the most success when, 1, I'm laning with my heroes. The chat wants to see your Dota buff. If you want to link it, you can. If not,
sure,
that's all good. But you can just link it in the chat, or you can give it to me and I can put it in the chat.
Put it in Discord.
Okay, I'll get it in the chat right now. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I play carry, and when I play 5, the most success I have is when I'm approaching the lane from the lens of what does my 1 want, right? And so I have even more success when I'm laning with heroes that I play, because I know like their timings in the lane, and I'm very conscious of when the hero should be aggressive. And when you're in like, a mid 7k pub, that's my MMR right now, like your carry isn't really going to be like, your Ursa is not going to be conscious of like his level 3 plus boots timing really. But if I am able to like know that and I just ping and like go in and use my spells, like the Ursa will follow. And so you can kind of like mind control your core, like when to be aggressive. But on the contrary, a lot of supports will grief because they aren't conscious of their core's timings, and they'll like use their spells and then the core will like all in and die. So what was my main point? My main point was that if you're able to put yourself in the shoes of your core, at least that helps me a lot when I play support.
And obviously it goes the other way as well. Like, carry players that don't know when their sup is strong and they're forcing, or they don't, or they're not forcing on like the only spike that this guy has in this lane. So, it's just about, in dual lanes especially, like understanding, like being able to understand what your lane partner might want, and also understanding the enemy, right? I think that to be a better 5, I don't have to know all that much about mid lane mechanics. Like I have to know about how I can do my job, which is like at, minute 4 at the earliest, to affect the mid lane. But like knowing that you want to burn the DP siphon charges early and like make him cast it when it's level 1 instead of 2, or like knowing that you need to buy salves against Visage, and knowing that, Clockwork wants to go kill them at 3.
Yeah.
Like all this sideline stuff.
It's like super niche matchup knowledge, right? Buy raindrops against Wind Ranger. Something
and
like
Visage.
That. And Visage. Yeah, I think Visage is more obvious. I say the Wind Ranger one. I mean, you haven't been playing, but these Wind Ranger 4s, I guess you saw it a lot at Raleigh. Raindrops is the counter. The Wind Ranger 4s with the Executioner facet on the power shot, like, that shit will just rip you apart if you don't buy raindrops. It'll totally rip you apart. But, so, because your most played is Jakiro, right?
Yeah.
What are Jakiro's timings in lane? My guess, I'm going to guess, actually. You tell me if it's correct. I think he's very strong at level 1 because he's like super tanky, right? And Dual Breath is like very good spell. And then I think level 3, when you have 2 points in Dual Breath, is probably his biggest timing. How's my answer?
So it depends on the patch. When I played the most Jakiro, I would agree with that. I would say 1 and 3. Like I liked a lot to save my mangoes for 3. But in the patch when they added facets, and liquid ice became good, then your timing, you had a hard timing at 2. The reason the hero, when liquid ice was brand new, the reason the hero was first pick every game, in my opinion, and it was in, a good amount of comp as well, is because no hero in the game could deal with your T-Spike. And the biggest reason why that was true then, and it's less true now, like Jakiro came back in meta with the new facet. Like the buff Jakiro received is insane. He just gets liquid fire and ice together, and then you get a a whole new facet, which is completely broken. But before that buff, he wasn't meta. And the reason for that was they changed a not very well-known mechanic, which is that Blood Grenade used to proc Liquid Ice and deal extra damage, but only if it was the only Blood Grenade that your hero owned.
Oh, that's weird.
So if you had a stack of 2 and you threw one, then it would just be a normal Blood Grenade. If you had one in your stash, even, I think, or your courier, I think it would be a normal Blood Grenade.
I think it worked like that with some other heroes too, right? It was so weird. I want to say like Bat Rider or something. It works.
I don't.
Sticky.
I think that on release, like when Blood Grenade first got made, it used to work with sticky for like a day or two.
Yeah.
But that mechanic means that basically no matter what, when you hit 200 hero, you just all in people, and it just worked. Like it was disgusting.
I see. So your hero power spike kind of depends on the patch.
Definitely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wait, I'm curious still about like your MMR journey. So you said that you kind of solo queued out of spite because Pingu like taunted you to like 5k, which is really high at the time. And then from then on, did you like play a lot of ranked, or did you get there and like stop, if you remember? And then
I think I got there and stopped.
You climbed a lot higher than that, like eventually.
Yeah.
Right. So what like motivated your regrind?
I think that for a while the patterns I had in MMR, so until I really wanted to go pro, I didn't like ranked that much. Even when I was 5k, my hero, versatility was still really high on Dota buff, and I would still mostly play unranked with my friends. And I would mostly, click random, and then I would get, some random Wraith King, and then I would play it support just for fun. And where if I got Crystal Maiden, then I would take it offlane. That's basically how I had fun. And then
I saw griefing norms.
Yeah. And then I made friends with people who are better than me, like, around 16, 17, it's probably speed. And, I kept getting better, and we played a lot of unranked together, and we were both like better than our MMRs.
Yeah.
But we didn't have that much interest in grinding. So we got like way better than our MMRs again, so that when we went back, it was really, really fast.
Did you guys duo?
No.
Wow. Respect. Is there a reason for that? Because Pyne and I honestly are in a very like similar situation where we both, I mean, I don't want to say this but we both know like we're better than our MMRs. And so we always have this like, situation where it's like, do we duo or not? So why didn't you duo with like your friends who you were learning Dota with?
I always saw it as cheap, to be honest. I wouldn't feel good about a milestone if I didn't do it the hard way, I think.
I feel like you learn more in the solo queue environment than you do in a duo queue. Do you agree with that? It's more representative of your skill. It exposes you more. Do you agree with that?
I would say it's more representative of your skill because you don't have something consistent to lean on. So all the random variants that like would not be representative of your skill, like when you play really well and lose and stuff, that is the same for every other solo queue player. So like over a large enough sample size of games, all it is if you play 1,000 ranked games and end up at an MMR, then that shows how good are you at winning ranked games, like very undebatably. And, I think that you could argue that solo ranked, you learn less about like real Dota or whatever than if you were playing with 2 or with 5 people that were being coordinated. But you definitely learn different skills. I think one thing I had to learn was like the people skills. As a 5.
Are you a big communicator then in your pubs?
Yeah, I'm like a notorious
even like
communicator.
down in 5K, you use the mic a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I would. When I was climbing, so I think one thing that set me apart from most players is when I was climbing, I tried really, really, really hard. And the reason initially was that I just don't like playing ranked that much. So I want to play as little of it as I can. So
Yeah, and just
I
stop.
was shooting for like the 90% win rate. So like in these games, when I was way better than everyone, I would sit on my mic hotkey and then I would just micro everyone. Like I was mini Eternal Envy.
Wow.
And some
And
people
it
hate
worked.
it.
It worked for you.
Yeah, I'm sure some people still hated it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
What was your win rate when you were like climbing? Because it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, like you get a lot. You have this cycle, play
yeah,
unranked, parallel learn Dota with like somebody who's really good. You get a lot better than your MMR, and then you go on like this tear where you have like a 70% win rate. Is that accurate?
yeah.
So your
Sometimes it would
win
be
rates
higher
were
than
like 70, 80%. Wow, that's pretty good. That's really impressive. Honestly, if you have a 70, 80% win rate at your current MMR, I think it means that your true MMR is like almost thousands above. Because I
well,
asked
I
really,
don't still have a 70% win rate.
yeah.
Like
But
during the climb I would, and
back when
maybe
you
during
were
certain
climbing,
patches
yeah. But
I would.
because I asked players, I was talking to Speed like a year ago or something, and he said that when he was climbing, his win rate was only like 55% or something, right? But he was different than you because he like played I probably more ranked, and he was just like on more of a consistent climb, from
Mhm.
what he told me. But and obviously he's like really good now. I respect Speed so much as a player. Like, yeah, he's really good. But and his win rate through like 5-6K was only 55%, and he's like one of the goats. And I think Amar um has like a 51% win rate on his Dota buff or something. So you don't need like a 70-80% win rate. But yeah, it's
And I
really
would only
impressive that you
have it
have one.
through a couple of these things. Like I would get 7K or something, and then I plateau at 7K for years. I don't remember if it was 7K specifically, but things like that would happen. And then one patch, I don't know if it was the heroes or the meta or something internal, but something would click, and then I would gain another 1,000 MMR. Maybe not 70%, maybe mid high 60s
I
percent
see.
or
And
something.
for this example that you're talking about, you'd still play ranked at 7K.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like when I hit 5K for the first time, I went back to mostly unranked, and then I maybe that cycle happened one more time where like I shot up from 5K to 7K or whatever, and then I mostly played unranked. And then from that point on, I played a lot of ranked. And then when I was grinding ranked, then I was having a 50% win rate. I was where I belonged.
Yeah.
And then maybe 52, 3, whatever. But occasionally I would still, like the first time I hit 10K, um, my win rate in the like 2-3 weeks before, I probably have a screenshot of it, but it was really, really crazy.
Dude, I feel like a lot of things in general, like in life are like that, where you'll be working and then all the reward will like come at once, but it'll feel like you're plateauing. My Dota YouTube channel was kind of like that, where I was grinding a lot and like not seeing much engagement or anything, and then all of a sudden like one video did really well, and you know, then the future ones start doing well too. So it's really interesting hearing that like your ranked MR journey is like that. Mine is similar. Honestly, Pyne and I have a similar story to you because we play like a shit ton of unranked, um, and we like learn the game together and we take unranked, or we like talk about our unranked games and what we could have done better. Wow, 57% win rate on your account.
But that's a lot of unranked. But what this is this was the first
Ah,
time
I
I hit
see.
10K,
70% win rate.
70% win
48
rate,
matches.
48 matches. This was over 1 week.
Yeah. What?
Yeah,
Wait, how many matches a day is that? It's
a
like
lot.
seven. It's like 7 games a day
Yeah.
with a 70% win rate. That's insane. Oh, I want to ask you about that too. Like, do you think that playing more will cause you to play worse? Like, but obviously no, based on
Yeah.
this, because you didn't get fatigue, or maybe you did, but you were still just the goat.
Um, I have a bad habit. I play too much.
Ah,
When I played, I would chain Q and tilt Q. That was definitely one of my worst habits.
Wait, what was the second part? You said chain Q and what?
And tilt Q.
Tilt Q. Okay, yeah. That's a recipe to lose, honestly. I feel like that's
Yeah,
something I'm good at as a player, is like taking a break when I realize I should.
that was, yeah, no, I was not good at that. And I think that it definitely caused me to suffer to some extent. But because my nature is like this, when I was on a roll, I could still, um, you know, get a lot of games out of it while I was feeling good.
Yeah,
And
I mean, momentum's a big thing too, right? So you had a bunch of momentum here and you were winning, so like just keep riding the high.
and for MMR, for me in particular, I was like a pretty big stats nerd. So like I would track what heroes I was winning with, and what was working and what wasn't. And then in here, I'm like, okay, I'm I'm pretty sure that was Treant Protector, and I'm like, okay, I think my Treant win rate was closer to was in the 80s,
Yeah, wow.
but it would just get banned a lot because it was also the best hero in the patch. So it's like
Yeah.
this hero's farming for me. I'll just keep picking it, and then it's like, okay, I played 6 games in a row, but I won all 6, so queuing the next one seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah. And you get that data through playing. Like you only get
Mm-hmm.
the reliable stats through playing a lot, and then you look at the data and you see like what works for you. So you're a really big like formula guy in ranked. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty
I definitely am.
validating. I'm the same way where like a patch will drop and like right when it drops when I'm reading it, I'll start thinking about my formula for the patch and like what, 3 to 4 heroes I'm going to be picking that patch and what style am I going to be playing them to win the game.
I
So it's
definitely had
really
like a flow chart because, like I said, I had to pick first phase.
yeah. So you could really map it out in a pub, like exactly what's gonna happen. Like who are the enemies? Who could the enemies possibly pick? Like who's your four gonna pick? Um,
Yeah,
yeah. What do you think there were any like obstacles that you faced in your climbing journey to get to, where you got? Because so far it's been mostly like, sunshine and rainbows. It's like yeah, I'd like played on ranked, got really good, 80% win rate, boom, like a top 200 EU. And if there aren't any obstacles, like that's okay too.
no, there were
You're still good.
definitely obstacles. I plateaued in many places. I mean, like my most recent plateau was, at the 10 or 11K mark, right? So I hit 10K um, in October of 2023, and that was like rank 50. That was close-ish to my peak, like relative to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like I think when I hit 10K it was like rank 50 NA, but
Yeah.
then I climbed up to like 10.5 pretty fast, like even 10.7 or something, and that was like when I was sort of peak. Um, but then you know, let's say let's just make it up. Let's say like January ish, maybe February of last year, I was 10.7, and then I got 500 MMR in the next 8 months.
I
And
see.
in those 8 months, I was playing a lot, like more than 7 games a day easily. Um,
So would you
so
say the major obstacle is like fighting through kind of the plateaus and just trusting that, over time you will gain MMR if you, make the better play?
yeah, I mean it's plateaus. I mean also there were times when I lost significant amounts of MMR. Like I've lost up to 1,000 before from my peak, and I think that it's also like with inflation, right? Like getting 500 in 8 months might sound good, but that was at a time when the rank one went from like 12K to 15K.
Hmm.
So like when I got like when I was 10.5, I was ranked 300 ish, and I stayed there for several months. But then by the time I hit 11K was about rank 900 EU.
Yeah. So were there ever times when you lost a lot of MMR where you like were really discouraged and you like thought about like not playing, or did you always just like play through it and have confidence in yourself as a player? Because it can be really like confidence shattering, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
lose a few hundred MMR in a few days.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact moments, but there are definitely times when I've lost in a week or two. I've lost MMR that took me several months to gain.
Wow. Yeah. And
So,
a lot of that was probably because of tilt queuing for you, I'm assuming. It's a big thing for you.
Yeah, probably. Probably didn't help. So, yeah.
Something that like I've been experiencing in literally like the past few days, throughout like my climb and no way. This Pyne guy is here now. Welcome, right on time to the show. Very, very professional, Mr. Pyne. Very professional.
Hello. Yeah, my bad.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We've been going strong.
Nice.
We're talking about like AB1's climbing journey right now.
Okay.
I was about to ask a really good question, but this is something that I've experienced in like the past few days, and I'm just curious if you've experienced anything similar. Where like, I guess, Pyne, for some context, AB1's climbing journey, it was actually kind of similar to ours because he used to play a lot of unranked with like Speed and like Pingu, like his friends who were really good, and he got a lot better through playing unranked, but his MMR like didn't really
reflect it.
Yeah, reflect it at all.
When I was just getting into the pro pubs, I think it happened more because I would run into players I respect a lot very often, and I wasn't so used to it, and I would like overthink it. And then sometimes it definitely like snowballs. Like even when I was used to it, like there was a time I'm laning with Ramses, and I fucked up like kind of bad. And then he got really, really mad at me.
Oh, no.
And then it just spiraled. Like I started playing worse, and he got more mad, and like that was like one of the worst games I played. He got really mad. It was funny.
I like how you remember this specific game too.
Yeah, that sounds traumatic. That sounds pretty traumatic.
But, I mean, he got pretty heated. Ramses is a funny guy.
Funny guy. That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
But
is there anything in particular you do to like get over that though, or is it just like, damn, you got to hold that and just like get used to it by spamming
it's just
games?
Experience.
To get over it, I mean, I think that one of my best traits as a pub player is that I'm like a lot less toxic and like more level-headed. Like I definitely get invested emotionally, but like I never like freak out and like yell at people. And I think that like when people are like freaking out at you, what I have found at least works for me is just to be like extremely reasonable. And then I don't know, like sometimes it works and sometimes they stop because they just feel silly. Like they're being a kid to an adult, and it's like you get a glimpse in the mirror for a second, like the energy isn't being reciprocated and you're like the only one mad here. It's just weird. And sometimes they don't, and that's fine. But then like at that point, you know, it's like Ramses is saying crazy stuff and I'm like, yeah, super my bad. I ruined the lane. Like I'm trying to do what I can now. Like, yeah, I'm like level 4 at minute, 1 million. It's fine. Like I'm going to try and get XP here. And then like, if he's still mad, then he's mad. Like I'm just like trying to do what I think is best in the game from that point.
You're doing what you can. Part of the reason, or not part of the reason I asked the question, but this is I don't know if you remember this. So Pyne and I actually played a norm with you like years ago.
I don't remember this. What the hell?
Really? He was Tidehunter. It was the Tidehunter game.
Were we on our team or what?
You were Pango. Yeah, he was on our team.
Oh, okay.
You were I don't know if we'll be able to find the Dota buff. But it was with Reimu, AB1. It was in a Reimu style.
Oh wait, no, I do remember this.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
no.
I brought this up
terrible.
because I think Pyne and I at the time, like I had kind of
I was Pango 4 in your lane. I was Pango 4.
Yeah.
I remember I picked Pango 4 and you sounded like really disturbed, and I was like, because I don't know, I was like,
was that like solo queuing?
No.
We were
We
five
were
stacking.
in an unranked
Oh,
five
okay,
stack
okay.
together.
Yeah, and I remember I picked Pango 4 because I was nervous, so I was like, I better just pick my best hero, even though I was like, this is gonna be shit. And we were Pango tied against Ursa, and then I said something like, "No, it's gonna be all good," and you're just like, "Just please buy a salve." And I was like, "I'll buy a salve." Holy shit! Like, my bad, bro.
Because at the time when we were partying, we like kind of knew you. I think I had seen you in like some
Yeah.
DPC circuit, and at the time, Pyne and I were also a lot worse players, so we were like slightly starstruck, and that like
Yes.
we definitely played worse because like
We
knew
played
that
real bad.
you were in our lobby and we
lost.
lost the game. I was on Terrorblade. I don't
Yeah,
know
we
why.
lost.
It's interesting because I think Terrorblade is a hero where like you need to be feeling it if you're picking Terrorblade, and I
Yeah,
was
you don't
not
just
feeling
I
it.
found the
and
game.
Oh, you found the
Yeah.
game? Oh no.
I mean, I'll
Wait,
say it
How did you
honestly.
find
It
it
was
that quickly?
it
What
was
the hell?
honestly a disaster class across the board. Like, I don't think anyone did anything in this game, but hold on, I wanna look
Yeah,
at this
no,
game
I feel
too.
like we lost 3 lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the game. I have 10 deaths on Terrorblade. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
I mean, I have 8 deaths on Tide.
I mean,
Yeah.
our lane wasn't good, no doubt.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, so this is a problem I have. Like, this is a me problem. Is I say that I'm like pretty good at not getting toxic, but I definitely have some degree of an ego that I know about myself. And there are some players that I really just don't like losing to.
I feel that as well, yeah.
So it's like, I mean, these are my friends. Like, I know all 5 people on Dire. I play with them a good amount, but I don't like losing to them because I don't think that like they're particularly good enough to lose.
Oh, it's these guys. Okay, yeah.
But
Wait, can I see this
they
Dota
like
buff? Send it to me.
try.
Yeah, I linked it in the Twitch chat, Justin.
I
It's
see,
you'll recognize the Dire as well.
Oh no.
Yeah, what were you saying, AB though?
They like try harder, and they're like pretty solid. And like loading into this game, they should win. Just with like the players on each team.
If
Like,
we
there's
ran
that
it back,
hard
if we
to
ran it back now, we would stomp them, to be honest. But at this time, I agree with you. This was literally like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I think, at this point.
And
But,
there are definitely like some players in like in the
Ooh.
DPC, and there are definitely players in my EU rank pubs that I don't like losing to, and that like affects me more than it should, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I get a little pissy, and that's just on me.
Hey, True Arlen though, according to Dota buff.
Yeah,
Well,
we
too
drew Techie's Ursa against Tide Pango.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean that's
God.
pretty good, right? What are the
Why
only
are
lane
you
that
picking
drew?
Tango 4.
Well, what are you? I drew.
Yeah, fair enough. You did better than me in that game.
I remember I was making some. Actually, I mean I'm 1-11, so I don't know. I don't really know what went down there.
I vaguely remember this game when you said like you were nervous and you picked Pango because it was your best hero. I remember that. I remember like playing with someone, and then he just like picked a Pango in my lane, and then I'm like, oh well, how do I salvage this? And then he's like, don't worry, it's my best hero. And then I'm like, all right, bet. Oh, let's see how this one goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Tide against Ursa is also like as bad as it gets, I think. For
Yeah,
Tide.
it was.
Yeah, I have a 15-minute Ghost Scepter.
Yeah, jeez.
I mean, honestly, you're kind of cooking with that, but
Yeah, no, that's.
I mean, this is a banger Ghost Scepter game.
Yeah. Speaking of Ghost Scepter, it's one of the best items this patch for sure. We talked about that at Raleigh.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's really good.
is for sure. Yeah, there's so much nullifier though. The problem is like Ghost Scepter feels really good when you get it, and then when the nullifier comes out, you're just like a mega feeder because you just have like a Ghost Scepter.
Yeah, but it's a timing thing.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
It's also so cheap. It's like 1,400 gold.
Yeah.
And it gives
like 5 stats.
Yeah, it's the Giga Circlet.
Yeah.
It has like
and
really high uptime percentage for no mana.
Plus, I mean, you can only nullify like one dude, right? Like if your whole team has Ghost Scepter, it's like pretty.
I mean, you can BKB Ghost if you're nullified, and then you're just like immune to everything. Even if you're like some TA, like some awful Ghost Scepter hero, it's like if Ursa's on you, you're not planning to be hitting for the next 5 seconds or whatever. Right?
Yeah, you might as well just like BKB Ghost and just like chill.
Or I mean, even just like Ghost and try and run it off.
Yeah, that's very true.
I've also found that there are a lot of games recently where like they're good Ghost Scepter games, just based on like what people are picking and stuff. TA, it's like really good against TA.
Yeah, I clicked like a couple of these group stage Wallachia games, just the Dota buffs, and I saw one where they had 4 ghosts. Let me find it.
Well,
who's on the enemy team?
Is Wallachia going on right now or what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Oh
It's
my God.
it's on like crackhead NA hours though. It starts at
Of
like
course.
1 a.m. And I think actually there's probably a banger series on right now. I think it's
Dude,
Liquid Falcons.
There
Wait,
was
let me check.
having Raleigh just like
Yeah,
be on
Liquid
like
Falcon. Sorry.
having Raleigh just be on like an NA schedule was actually so nice because I feel like it's been so long since a tournament's been in NA.
Yeah.
Like I mean, yeah, exactly. If you want to follow Pro Dota and you like live in NA, it's literally like like I remember. I mean, back when I used to watch a lot, I would literally wake up at like 3 a.m. and like go to the gym and like have my headphones in and be listening to the drafts because like that's when you had to wake up to watch the games. It's literally like 2 a.m. or some shit.
I've been on that VOD game though recently.
The VODs don't
game.
hit, bro. The VODs
No,
don't
but
hit.
they hit for a different reason. So I mean, I've told you this before, Pyne, but what I do is
Yeah.
like watch the VOD and I'll just like skip through what I don't want to watch. I'll just like skip from draft to draft, and it ends up being really interesting that way. But yeah, it doesn't hit like watching a full series live, but it's still
Yeah,
cool.
I mean it's still.
I watch the
Let's
VODs
see.
on 2x speed for background noise a lot.
Yeah,
That's like the main way I've been
Yeah,
keeping
that's
up with
good.
Dota for like the past several months.
Mhm.
I linked
good.
the game.
Oh yeah, that's a good Ghost Scepter game. Clinks on crit, Amar Bristle, Maurin Dragon Knight, and Skeeter Tide. And Ghost Scepter's not great against Tide. Wait, is his Anchor Smash
No,
physical?
I mean,
Doesn't
Anchor Smash
really
is
Yeah,
hit.
it
physical.
is.
Okay, I
And
guess it's
you're
good.
minus
Yeah,
armor.
I guess it's good.
No,
And
it's
it's the
honestly
green dragon
and
as well.
Snaking Muerta.
and the green
wait, no,
dragon.
she
I
can
mean,
hit
there's
Ethereal.
there's a billion minus
green
armor too.
dragon.
I mean, also it is really annoying on stuff like Tide, or I'm still thinking Pango or I'm saying physical spells rather than right clickers
Mhm.
because I don't know, like even with the right clickers, like or just I'm thinking like when someone presses it and I'm Pango rolling, it's like holy shit, like I'm completely useless right now. Like I
I mean,
can't do
against
anything with this
Pango
guy.
in particular, it's fucked.
I mean, it's all physical, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you just as support presses Ghost Scepter, and it's like that's half my roll duration just like wasted.
I feel
I
like
mean,
a lot of
in
people.
this game,
So bad.
Yeah.
in this game, if someone clicks Ghost Scepter with like 450 HP, even if Dire has every spell, what can they do? They can gush him, they can deadshot him, and they can throw the tar bomb, which does. Oh no, that's physical. I thought the initial was magic, maybe.
DKQ.
No, that's
Oh wait,
it's
no, that's
physical because
physical
it's
with
a
the
thing.
green dragon.
Green dragon.
Yeah, Ghost Scepter destroys that. Wow.
So it's like
Ghost
if you fail the burst, you need like 300 HP or something, and then you just cannot die.
I was
for,
actually
like, 4
watching.
seconds.
I was watching back a group stage game from Raleigh, and the draft or the panel was talking about this, where like in one of the games they drafted all physical damage, and then they bought a bunch of Ghost Scepters and lost. And then the next game they drafted like Luna and 4 magical damage, and then they lost to Pipe. But it really is important to have like a nice mix of physical and magical damage, especially with spells, because you can like compensate for it right now with like Revenant's Brooch. But like if the guy presses Ghost Scepter, you still can't hit him, right? With Revenant's Brooch.
I mean, you used to be able to Revenant Brooch the Ghost, which was like
yeah, that was pretty interesting.
The old
a good counter.
That's why you pick Muerta carry and just start shooting the guy through Ghost Scepter. But,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, no, it's really important to have a mix of it in your draft.
That's part of the reason Brooch feels good these days, because you get like mixed damage from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Inherently.
Yeah, mixed damage is super.
Brooch is. I like the new Brooch. It's a nice item with a good build up. Really.
Dude,
fun
people
to
also
build.
don't think about that. Like, I think this was a problem that we just had recently in the game where, like, I was playing Ember, so we have Ember chains, and then we have like an Atos and a bunch of other like and a Vessel, and it's just like, dude, you just make Dispel so good against your draft if you like build like that, right? Like you're just giving them such an easy option on terms of like what item to counter pick you or like counter build against you, right? Same thing with like having 5 physical damage heroes. It's like you just make it such an insane Ghost Scepter game. The guy buys Ghost Scepter and he's like Thanos in the game, and you're fucked.
Yeah, so, I mean, same thing like you were saying with Lotus Orb and stuff, or like, you know, if you make it a God tier Yule Scepter game, and that's something I've thought about for a long time, and that's one of the hardest things to actually implement into drafting.
Yeah,
because there's just so much else to think about when it's like, you know,
that's true.
It's like sometimes you just make it like the best Lincoln's game ever.
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, it's pretty easy to make it like not have a draft where you can't do anything to a BKB. That's like the simplest one.
Yeah.
But for all these other things, it's so hard to incorporate it into your draft in real time.
Yeah.
And one of the thoughts I actually had, like to extend this concept I had a while ago, is I think that like there's an utilization of it, because it's so hard, even at the highest level, where you can incorporate this idea into your draft. I think it's like only theoretical, where it's like the best example I've seen it was like remember when PA was I don't know, a couple months ago, it was first pick every game with Warlock, and it would just carry every game.
Yeah.
The only time that I saw PA not carry these games was when it didn't have enough slots, because it's like, okay, in the late game, it was up into a draft where it reasonably can't kill anything without its BKB. There's just too much stun, and then it won't be able to kill anything unless it has its it has a nullifier in this particular game. But then people won't get locked down unless it has a basher, and then you still need like a minimum of like battle free SNY Satanic, because that's what made PA good in the first place. So it's like all these requirements, you know, you're going to need BKB, SNY Satanic, battle free, basher, nullifier. That's 6 items. And then it's like, okay, and what if the other guy just is like a Windrunner or like a Tinker or a Brewmaster, and you need your MKB or, you know, whatever. And you're also playing up against the Doom and you want a Lincolns. It's like some of these heroes that have like cookie cutter builds where like you have to go, you know, into it, or like Nature's Prophet's a good example. Like this guy's going to build the same items basically every game. And if you make him, like if the build is really, really good, if you get all of it, but you know, pose these questions, like cause these, have these problems that it needs to solve with specific items, and it doesn't have room in its build, then I think it can be really strong.
I'm glad you said that. You like quantified a concept that I feel a lot when I play. I play a lot of Nature's Prophet this patch, and I really feel that. Or like, I think in particular, some games as a carry, you need your team to build the nullifier. Like some games you just can't fit it in, and it feels so bad.
I think it's actually very similar for Pango, because Pango builds like literally the same first 3 items every game. It's like Blink, Diffusal, Ags pretty much every single time. And then, so it's like against like silences and roots and all this stuff, it's like, oh, you could build like Manta. So I've done that where I like get Manta early before those items, or I get a Yules early before those items, but it just feels like shit.
Yeah.
And then like, it just makes my hero feel way worse. So then now, what I realized, and then I watched the pro games, and they'll be against like literally the hardest Pango game I've ever seen in my entire life, and then they just build like Blink, Diffusal, Ags, and then they just like roll from fog and blink in and like not get caught like a feeder.
That's
it's
a
like,
good insight.
It's really tough on Pango, because that's what I realized is like you can't just itemize a million defensive items on Pango. It's not how he works. Like you just have to like live with your role and play well enough and like be good at the hero, and like you can't just like, you know, fix it by building defensive items. Like you have to
adjust
because
their
your spell,
play.
because also like the spell on Pango, like if you think about roll, like you have a BKB with your spell, so to like start stacking defensive items on top of that is just like, okay, you're just such a feeder that you needed all of this. Like you have to be good enough with your roll to just not die, even when there's like a puck and shit in the lobby. So it's but it feels so tough when they like pose all these problems, like, oh, there's Doom in the game. I mean, that's a great one as well versus Pango. It's like there's Doom and there's like a puck. It's like, oh Jesus Christ, like. Or like there's like an Orchid. It's like I want to buy all this stuff, but it's like, well, I'm just gonna buy Blink, Diffusal, Ags, and hope I roll from fog and not feed. And sometimes you're just like feeding on the map, and they keep finding you, and it feels so tough.
Yeah, I think it's particularly true for like from a capital perspective, from the high priority heroes, because I played a lot with Red 2, and this guy Pango's his signature, and like we wanted to be first picking Pango, and we would, but like the question we would have to ask him is like, okay, are you like fine into Huskar? Are you fine into Sniper? Are you fine into Bloodseeker? Are you like, do you know all your matchups? And the answer,
when we were first picking, I am.
But I mean, he would cook. Like he did really well. And it's like, okay, you know, you either need to like know what you're going to do in all these matchups. Like with Bloodseeker, you can't just rush the Lincolns. Like you have to, you know, roll from fog with a blink dagger, and then we have to draft like a Mars to be like the first guy, so that he can see the guys who's gonna like some hero that's gonna show heroes, right? And it's similar when it's like, you know, when TA, Nature's Prophet, like old Lena, old Gleipnir Lena, you know, these heroes are the first pick heroes, and they're cookie cutter heroes. It's like a question of, can you pose enough problems for this hero that they have to abandon the strong build that makes the hero so good, and then suddenly they're like first picking like an average strength hero, or is the hero so good that they can just do the best build and then be a broken hero anyway into all these counters.
Yeah.
And like that's what you have to figure out. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
This is a layer that I have not yet like peeled back in the onion of Dota, of like forcing heroes on the enemy team
like
to build
yeah.
uncomfortable stuff. Yeah, so that's really, really interesting to hear. I also think that in some of those games, like on carry, when it feels like I need a lot of items, it's just indicative of like a really hard game, because a lot of the times I'll need a lot of items because the enemies will have a lot of items.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just based on draft, but yeah, sometimes I think it's indicative of like an
when it
outdraft.
comes to those counters, maybe this is just because supports like that we play against just feed more on average, because I'm sure like when you're against really good supports, they don't just like feed and make it easy for you. But when it's like when it's a hard game and the hero's like, okay, if I'm Pango and it's like, oh man, they have a Grim Stroke, it's like I just blink on that guy and like two-shot him like every time. Like that guy's a feeder. But when it's like they have a Doom, it's like that shit is impossible, man. Or like they have Bloodseeker, it's like, yeah, like at 40 minutes, I'm not just gonna like roll on the Bloodseeker and chain CC him and he's not gonna get Rupture off. Like it just feels so tough. When it's like these, like when the counters that you're facing are these like, you know, cores that are really farmed and stuff like that, because it's way more difficult to just like bring them down. Like the easiest way to beat your counter is just like kill the guy first, right? And it's just way more difficult to achieve that when it's like a core that's like actually farmed.
I think that's also because supports are boosted animals in general.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah,
in our game, like the support's just like straight feed.
Yeah, AB1, what do you think about that? Do you agree? Do you think that
they all
supports are?
Yeah. Like, do you think on average, like, I don't even want to say like they're worse than cores, because cores are also so bad. But like,
no, supports are worse. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just.
I do think well, Pyne, I think you're saying this anecdote comes from the fact that cores on average are better. Like they're gonna be more.
Are they better, or is it just the fact that they're a core, so they have items and it's harder to kill them?
I think it's a little of both.
To be fair,
I think in general supports are boosted, and
yes.
I think in general supports are relatively worse than cores at the same rank.
In general,
I don't know if that's true. I don't know. Actually, I think that's very true.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know if I'm necessarily saying that. I just think that like, yeah. I mean, if it was a good support, I never should start the fight by like rolling on like the Grimstroke and he's in front of his whole team or some shit, right? Like that shit never happened. Yep. That's exactly what happens though.
To clarify my point, I think up to like high immortal. Like, I don't think you, as like a rank 200 EU, are worse than a rank 200 EU core.
You're saying like an Archon.
I mean, I am at some things. My take on MMR is that, you know, if you play 1,000 games and you maintain an MMR, then that's the MMR you belong at. I think that should be pretty undebatable. It's just, I think people want MMR to mean something else, where it's like people want MMR to mean like your skill or like your value or you know, how, you know, good you might be on a professional team or something. And if you think about it directly, like the thing that I can stand behind, the statement I can stand behind for sure, is that MMR is a measure of your ability to influence a pub game into a win. And if you play 1,000 matches and you are your MMR solidly, then like that is by definition what a 2K MMR or 10K MMR or whatever support and core look like. They just do different things for the game. But like that is the level of gameplay that makes that winning percentage at that MMR.
What I think it is for you and me, Krabby, is that we're better at abusing the mistakes that supports make. Because I feel like the mistakes that support makes, or the mistakes that supports make in our games, it's just like they just like fucking shell on the ward like before the fight and just like
feed really hard.
And it's like really easy. I think like also like when supports are making really obvious mistakes, it's really easy to like capitalize them and it looks really bad.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
It's like you're like level 7 Skywrath mage and it's like 20 minutes and I slight you once and the guy just evaporates into thin air. And it's like, oh my god, 14. What a feeder.
Oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. But like I'm like cores are also making like disgusting mistakes as well and just like and a lot of those mistakes we might not even know, right? Because we're in the MMR as well, so we might not even be able to identify the mistakes. Like the support mistakes are so obvious because it's like guy dying, like before the fight.
There's very instant feedback. It's like you're fucking Oracle and you die first. Like that's pretty bad. 10
Well,
times out of 10. And that happens to me all the time. That's one of my, I mean, that's like the classic support mistake is just dying, right? So,
Yeah.
and then some core mistake is like, oh, he bought, Satanic instead of BKB, and maybe it cost them the game. And maybe it's like really obvious, but maybe it's like, oh, you kind of saw what he was doing. Maybe it works. Or like, the carry wasted his TP, so he can't defend for another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But usually the way that looks is like, it doesn't look bad on the carry, because what is he doing? He's 1v0, farming creeps, pushing towers, whatever, for 30 seconds. And his team is getting slaughtered in the base.
Yeah, and he's like, just wait. And then like it's his
yeah,
bad,
and they
right?
can't wait. Like they're trying their best to wait, but like it looks like his team is feeding but I mean, it's definitely his mistake.
I think in general, though, people
are right now with this information.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say
my carry, bro.
People do tend to blame cores more for the outcome of games. In general,
the outcome of games, but I wouldn't say like during the game necessarily, because
I don't know. I think people are really inclined to flame carries.
I think you're influenced that because like that's true at like 40 minutes, but that's because like that's when your impact is a lot, right? Compared to like a support. But like cores are blaming a lot of supports at 5 minutes, all right? Like the supports are getting a lot of flame at like 6 minutes when they don't show up to the rune and I'm already losing lane. And I'm like, these supports are griefing my game. Yeah. Because also, I mean, as AZ said, basically, like I think core mistakes can be a lot more nuanced. Like I was watching my own Magnus replay yesterday, and I actually had like a fatal error that kind of ruined the game. We won, but I noticed that I was playing Magnus like I was playing Ember. So here are 3 cores. It's Monkey, Magnus, Dawnbreaker. And this is going to sound really obvious in retrospect, but I was playing really, really separated from my other 2 cores on the map alone and like trying to evade ganks. Not what Magnus does. Magnus evading gank is like the clunkiest dog shit ever, where I blink skewer like 10 feet and then they're like chasing me. And I'm also griefing my Dawnbreaker because that's what Dawn wants to do, right? Like Dawn wants to be across the whole map, evading the ganks and like farming. And I want to be next to Monkey, empowering the guy the whole time. So instead, I'm playing like Ember across the whole map, like really far from my Monkey, evading ganks. And I don't empower my Monkey the entire game.
Yeah.
And did anyone in the lobby like know like that's like, wow, this core is like really ruining the game? No, like ain't nobody know that shit. But like I
should have been more assertive because I was playing support in that game and I wanted to connect you and Monkey. But our position 5 was playing around Dawn, so it was kind of hard for like us to make a move
my map, or I was griefing everyone on the map, I think. Because it's more about like, I just realized this with Magnus where like this is just going to like Magnus specific stuff, but he really like wants to be at the center of the team's formation a lot of the time on the map, because what is his strength? It's like you are like, people think it's like it's RP, but like the prerequisite for RP and the other thing is skewer to work is that I'm either RPing people on top of my team or I'm RP skewering them to my team. So it's all about like bringing them to my team, right? So he has no strength when he's at a place where your team's weak on the map. I want to be exactly where my team's the strongest, and then I bring the enemy team into where my team's the strongest, right? So I was just like positioning on the map where we were weak, but Ember's good at that, right? Because I put the remnant down, boom, 5 people show up, I remnant away, and it's like I wasted a ton of time. And meanwhile, like my Monkey's eaten. He's eaten the whole top side of the map. But like, yeah, when you do that on Magnus, now my Dawn's like next to my Monkey, and this feels like shit. So I just like grief the whole map for everyone, basically, is what I realized. But hey, but like people don't know that. Right? Like no one's gonna like look or like blame me in the game. Like, why did this Magnus just like ruin the map so hard? So it's much more nuanced of like those mistakes exist. It's just way more nuanced, which is really interesting. Because I thought I played like pretty well, and then I watched the replay. I'm like, holy shit. Still got a lot to learn.
And curious, especially like they're meant to get bailed out from their mistakes, right? It's like if the Oracle gets caught first, then it's like wrap it up. It's a bad fight, and then people are pretty good at knowing that, like don't try and make it a good fight. Like they just cut their losses on this Oracle and then they go about their lives. But like if your top net worth guy gets caught, the whole squad's going to show up and then take the fight. Yeah. And maybe it's like a bad fight because like it started off really terribly, but they're going to back him up. But then it sort of looks like a team thing, right? It's like, okay, we lost this fight, but really this guy just shouldn't have gotten caught, right?
That's such a classic. Like as I climb through the ranks too, this happens at every rank. If like a core gets caught and then the team files in 1-by-1 and suddenly it's a 5-0 wipe, it's so devastating.
Well, even if it's not a 5-0 wipe, even if it's just like some,
maybe your carry gets out, but you lose like a couple guys. Like it's just,
like your carry pushes BKB, you lose 2 sups, and maybe You like
That
lose
feels
two
like-
sups in the offlane and you kill like a sup.
Yeah.
But like this like destroys your timing in certain games.
It
Especially
And it's
really
like-
is the person's fault who got caught as well.
It
like in
is,
that
man.
instance
It
for your
is.
team. Because
Oh my
sometimes
God.
that will happen to me where I'll get caught and my
And you'll
team
get mad at your
files in.
team?
But well, I have a good calm where like
do
if
this
I get
too,
caught,
but-
I say like let me die, like get back.
What
If
do
I
you-
know that I'm
Do you say this? I mean, when you're
if
actually dying for
if I know
sure.
that I'm gonna die, yeah, for sure.
I feel like most of the time it's like, yo, help over here, help.
I mean,
I do this
it
too. when I
depends
get
because
caught,
sometimes it's better to lose, you know, two subs in an offlane and get a sub and
Yeah, I
have a
think
carry
that's
for
better.
BKB than just to have your carry die for nothing, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you're supposed to help him even if it's a bad fight, and sometimes you're supposed to ditch him.
Yeah,
but
you're
like
salvaging the situation. That's
like
true.
most of the time, like you know, these mids and carries, you know, their mistakes, they like the whole team is trying their best to bail them out. You know,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
if it's at all possible for you to die for the sins of your carry, then you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, that's very
I'm
true.
gonna step out for a second, guys, but you can keep talking and keep chat entertained.
Dude, I'm feeling some core guilt right now because it's so easy as a core to like you said, the support mistakes are so obvious. So it's really easy to be mind controlled and be like a fucking coper as a core.
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
easy as a support as well when it's like, you know, my core made some terrible mistakes. Well, I mean, one of the best ways to improve and the toughest ones to do is like I've played games when I played well at the last part of the game and I was let down, but I mean, it's really dumb stuff. Like if I just die first blood in my lane when I'm not supposed to,
Yeah.
then I think basically no matter what else happens in that game, I don't deserve to win that game.
To be
If
honest,
I'm the
yeah,
high
yeah.
MMR, if I'm the high MMR of the game,
That's a good way to put it too. If you're,
Then it's
because
like-
you're supposed to carry, right? Like you're supposed to have like disproportionate impact.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, I can win that game after a mistake like that. But that mistake it trickles down into every
not
part of the
supposed to
game
make that
so
mistake,
much.
Right? Like
It can't be a performance I'm
satisfied with.
satisfied with and like mad that I don't deserve anything for that game, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree with that. Dude, honestly, I feel like I mean we've discussed this before on the pod, so it's like pretty obvious, but like our viewers aren't like, you know, like 10K or something. But people really underrate how impactful First Blood is. Like it kind of like as you said, like if you feed First Blood, you kind of just like ruin the game like instantly. I don't know. Depending on like on who it goes on, but like it really just ruins lanes like straight up. Like if mid gets First Blood, it's pretty debilitating for the mid laner. Or like even like carry versus offlane, like that guy like comes to lane with like a bracer. Like it's pretty cooked.
Yeah, I mean it depends as well because like you know, if you're have some bad lane, say you're Tidehunter Pangolier, for example, and you're up against Undying Terrorblade.
Theoretically, if you're Tide Panga.
Theoretically, but you're up
Nobody
against
would
like
pick that.
Undying TB,
Yeah.
and these guys, you know, the Undying is like destroying you for the first couple waves. They get two first. If they clip Meta and Tombstone and Blood Grenade, then you're not ruining by dying. There's like that's fucking life, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You're getting cooked.
Like they get a free one, they traded it in, and they should. But like, you know, someone has to die first blood every game, right? So it's like,
yeah, it's true.
But if you're just like, I mean, the classic in comp, we had a meme about it on 5rat, where it's like way too many times someone would just have a good feeling about this rune. That's what we called it. When it's like for the 0-minute bounty rune and you have no vision, you just got a good feeling and they go down and they die first blood. Like no one made you do that shit. Like that is just.
Yeah, I mean, that is the most classic. Dude, but I mean, I don't know how much you've been playing on this patch, but with the new bounty rune locations, I feel like nobody knows what the fuck to contest. Like I swear every single game, because the river and the bounty on the same side are like so far apart, it's insane, right? Like they're just so far apart. So then like sometimes you send forward to the far one and your guy in the river just gets like completely shit on, or vice versa. I guess the point is like you should just get vision and like understand where the enemy heroes are before. But yeah, it's like pretty much every pub I feel like we have like a bad interaction on the bounty runes where like we either don't get two, or like we just feed on some random bounty rune. And I don't really know how to solve it because like I try to call plays and do stuff and it just always feels like we lose the interaction.
Even if we group as 5-2, the problem comes at like when the horn
all standing in the river, man.
Clock is ticking down from like 5 seconds and we're only contesting like one rune.
Yeah.
But sometimes like getting one rune in first blood is better than getting
Yeah.
two
We ain't
runes in
getting
no
first blood.
for
Like we're
sure.
just all 5 standing in the river, and like they see us probably on their like obs. And
Sometimes
then
we do.
we
I
get
mean,
one rune.
I think the solution is to smoke early and group your team and then go and like put a
Yeah.
ward and get information, right?
For pubs, even unranked pubs, just because I got really bored of every time I didn't do it. Like,
Yeah.
So for my pubs, I smoked 5 heroes at the start of every game, every game, no matter what.
Yeah,
And even if it's not the best play, when I got much higher MMR, I could trust my teammates more that they wouldn't go off and wander and die instantaneously. So like then I can change my play call to like do a late smoke, and then people would actually be able to like execute a late smoke. But until that point, I would load into every game and I would click a smoke. And the reason is just because I don't want some guy going off some random place, and I don't want to see nothing on the runes. So we would go 5 heroes somewhere, and it depended based on every game. And that was just a skill I had to develop. Was like, that's a skill I trained hard. It's like every team I have ever been on, the pre-rune was my call every game. And we just like did something. We got some words down. We went for some first blood. We did something together.
Yeah.
And when I play unranked, I got really bored of every game I wouldn't buy a smoke. Someone would die in a random place. So in unranked, if no one is doing it, if I'm like basically anything but mid, but if I have to, I'll do it on mid. I'll just buy the smoke anyway, and I'll just click it. It's 50 gold.
That's intense.
Yeah.
I mean, minus one branch.
It's good though.
But...
It's worth, honestly. I tell all my support students to smoke every single game. Just smoke the 5 heroes and draw a line on the minimap and stay together.
As you said, that always works, and we're grouped up. It's just that like it gets to like 15 seconds on the clock, and you're all 5 in smoke standing on the same rune together, and it's like, well, I don't think they're coming here, guys. Like we're good, but
I would rather have that than
like first blood, right? That's better than first blood.
Yeah. It's just you think of the average outcome. The
average outcome is your team just dies.
Yeah, I think that the biggest mistake for people who do this strategy, though, is I think that they don't think hard enough about the particular game, and they just run the same play every time. Where it's like, oh, they smoked 5 heroes up this hill because they think enemy probably won't be ready, and then you're gonna have 5 heroes and you're gonna get a first blood. And they just do that every game, and then sometimes your heroes are not supposed to be doing that.
There's like a 9 clock on the other team, and you get smoked on the hill or something like.
Yeah. And like, it's a very disrespectful like pub play where it's like, okay, we're just gonna have 5 and they won't, and it'll be good. But like, I don't know. Like at least the way I did it, I would always think about what I thought was like
it's
right.
Based in like the information and the heroes and stuff, right?
Yeah. Like sometimes I would smoke us as 5, and then I would go put down 2 wards, and then I would say, okay, we're AFK on our hill.
Yeah,
we're gonna 5-man AFK on this hill.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. That's pretty smart.
All right. Well, AB1, I do want to respect your time. There's one question that I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
And then
I
we'll
have
get
some
into...
Fuck.
No.
I'll ask during the Q&A, I guess.
Yeah, and then you can be a guest in the Q&A.
I will be a guest in the Q&A. That's what it feels like at this point.
In the chat. And we talked briefly about this before. You mentioning that like I really like when you were describing MMR, and you were saying that all it is like a representation of your skill to win pubs. That's all, not like your Dota skill.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think are the major... This is kind of a loaded question. What do you think are the major differences between like playing pubs and being good at them and like being pro? Is it more of like synergizing with your team?
What's the difference in what it takes?
I'm not asking what it takes. I'm asking like the actual skill, like what actual skills
in the
pros
game
mean.
Yeah. Not like what you need to do.
I think that I would say the biggest one is people skills. I think that for one, as much as it sort of sucks, networking matters a lot more if you want to go pro. So being able to build relations like that is important. Like, I don't know if I should say this, but so our RCY is a very high MMR American mid laner. And when some teams needed some stand-ins for the mid lane at Raleigh, RCY was very interesting to them, higher MMR than basically anyone else they could have gotten, but they just don't know him.
Wow.
So he wouldn't necessarily get this breakout opportunity.
That's really interesting. If it's the opportunity I'm thinking about, and I think it might be, that's crazy.
Is it that one? I don't know. That's crazy.
Maybe. I don't think any other team played with a stand-in for mid.
That's right.
So,
Jesus.
but the other thing is like, I think 2 teams played with a mid stand-in.
Oh.
But the other thing is that just being able to work well in a team, and like understand. I think that's the thing I learned most in Dota overall. Is like being able to like come up with the ideas, like the structures of what a team needs and like how you're going to contribute and like what your jobs are and how you can like help your teammates do what needs to be done. Just like understanding like the big idea of like the team and the team's goals, and then how it translates into like the micro. I think that that's the biggest difference to me between like team play and pub play. Because pub play, it's like you just clock in. You do your job to the best of your ability, and you're not going to be with these guys next game. So it's like you don't know about them. You just try and be a good cog. And if you're the best cog, then you're going to gain MMR.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that's interesting. Being on a team must be more about like learning together.
Well,
and
here's
iterating
another
off of previous games.
Because I also had this thought, which is like, I mean, realistically, you just can't know everything in Dota. There's not enough time, and so you're just gonna have a lot more like knowledge about your role, your heroes, etc. So, I mean, this also relates to something I was curious about, which is just like, how do you balance like learning stuff that isn't necessarily related to like what you play or something versus not? And I think on a team, it's like of all the times, since you have 5 players playing 5 different roles, it's like the stuff about mid lane, like, and coming up with ideas for that, like to a certain extent, that's your mid laner's responsibility, and like they're going to be communicating towards other people they need to synergize with, like what they think they should do, and like the support can say what they think and stuff like that. But like you realistically can't understand every single role, every single hero, and just like have like map out the battle plan by yourself like that. Whereas in a pub, like that's pretty much what you have to do, because you can't really trust. You're not going to like ask your carry like what he thinks the situation is. Like you don't care. Like dude doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
But yeah,
taking that data in the moment and iterating off.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure like on a
different
team, you have to like, I mean, you probably learn a lot more from each other and stuff like that. And you have to like trust each other's opinions and stuff like that, which is really interesting because it's just not possible to learn everything. Yeah.
I mean, it depends also, because if your aspiration is to go pro, like mine was, I used all my pubs. I would communicate a lot. I would need really high energy in my pubs. I would use my mic, and I would call plays like the whole game. I was like a Dubu type player. And I think that there you are giving yourself a lot of opportunity to learn, because not only are you forcing yourself to interact with your teammates more socially, and like you're going to have to learn the skills to be like, that was my bad even when it wasn't, and like how to move past it and how to resolve conflicts, and how to try and get people who all hate you because you fed your lane to like still listen to you if you have a really good idea about how to fight Roshan and all this stuff. But you're also like, you're getting more opportunities to train your macro understanding of the game, because you're trying to, come up with these bigger calls.
Yeah. Someone introduced the concept to me recently of earning calls in a pub. Like if you make one good call like pre-horn or whatever, like at the bounty runes, then you earn like a few extra calls. But then if you make a bad call, you like lose like a rep with your team. And I found that so true when this person said that. It's so funny.
It is kind of true. Like what I would do, I mean, especially when I got higher MMR, like 10, 11K, and especially in EU, because people liked me less in EU a little bit. A lot of people still like me because I'm generally high energy and friendly in my pubs. But what I would they were more critical of my gameplay, I would say. And when I played bad or fucked something up, then what I learned worked for me is if I fucked up really bad, like say in that Ramses game, I would just put myself on cooldown for like 15, 20 minutes, depending on how bad I fucked up. I would just like,
really good.
I wouldn't click my mic. I wouldn't, make calls. I wouldn't like ask people to do anything. I would type like stacks and then I would ping where I made my stacks. Or I would be like, I would ping words and shit like that. And then like 20 minutes later, if I click my mic and I'm like, let's go smoke their Roshing, and I scan Roche, like people would listen to me again.
Yeah. Put yourself on cooldown is so funny.
That's so incredibly accurate. Jesus Christ. I love that.
If you have a good call, your mic ability like refreshes and you get it again. But if you have a bad call, it goes on cooldown.
The cooldown changes as well, like based on how egregious it was. Like if your call goes wrong and everyone feeds, you're on like 30-minute cooldown.
Even if you don't even if it's not a call, it's just like you have to read the vibes. So like if everyone fucking hates you, then just chill out for a bit and then try again in 15 minutes. And in my experience, most of the time, as long as you're like not dominating, it's like my 15-minute cooldown expired and I'm Eternal Envy again. That wouldn't be so good. But like, if I don't talk for 15 minutes and then I like say some things like where we should smoke, or like if we can contest Roche, or like let's dodge until this guy's BKB timing, some general things like that, people don't freak out.
Because the other thing is that all the other players on your team are also like on cooldown in the sense that they're tilted, right? And you're giving them time to like get over it. Yeah. Because that happens a lot where there's a bad play, and if you try to like start salvaging it right then, like people are just
you're getting yelled at.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People don't want to hear that shit.
All right, I think now's a good time to call the YouTube session. So for all you YouTube listeners, we're live on Twitch right now, and we're having an exclusive Twitch AMA with AB1 right now. So tune in next week at 10 a.m. PST to get access to the AMA. But AB1, thank you so much for coming on. This has been really, really fun. Is there anything that you want to, like, if there's a social media where the viewers can find you? I don't think you make Dota content.
No.
But when we had King Potato, for example, he told people his Twitch. So is there anything like that? Anything you want to say to the viewers?
No, I mean, I'm not so much in the scene anymore. I was, a DPC player. Then I basically just retired. I go into school now, and I met these guys at Raleigh because I drove there because it was sort of close, and they asked me on, and I said sure. So I'm just here.
Cool.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm glad we got to hang at Raleigh. That was a really good time.
It was really good.
Yep. All right, see you YouTube.
Goodbye YouTube.
All right, cool. For all you Twitch chatters now,
I'm literally about to be in half the YouTube video. Whoops.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
Oh no.
Well, very professional.
It's actually just not all good.
Yeah, no. But what I want to say to the chat, if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. Also, I want to remind you guys that you have a free Twitch Prime sub every month. And if you want to support the show, every sub goes straight back into the production quality.
That is true.
Like I pay for this subscription for StreamYard. It makes the show very streamlined.
Okay, I got a question to start
with. Also thumbnails and stuff. All right, let's get it. Start.
Because we talked about this like briefly at Raleigh or like at the Marriott, which was you were talking about like basically it was a balance of things to do in terms not like within the game, but like about the game, like watching replays, 1v1s, yada yada yada. And I think it depends from role to role, right? Like if you're mid lane, you're gonna tend more towards maybe you need more 1v1s, right? Versus support, you're probably not queuing up the 1v1s. So
you play 2v2s.
You play 2v2s. You really
that's insane.
2v2s. That's actually insane.
Pyne and I have done that before, but it wasn't like a balance.
So
2v2.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just curious, because like there's the alpha right there. Is you run 2v2s? Is like what are those things that you think you should do? And you can obviously just speak to like your anecdotal experience and your role. But like also like what do you think certain roles should do? Or at least I'm just curious about like what do you think about like support and stuff like that? Like what should you be doing? Like if you wanted to go pro, like what's everything that it takes? Like what's like the full package of things you're doing?
If you want to go pro, the first thing you got to do is you got to wake up in European hours. You gotta cut ties with the NA server if you actually want to go pro. Like this in the background, this is because I was trying out scrims with, I forget what the team was called. It was like Twisted Minds or some shit, but it was at Xantic, Shad, Dalai Lama, and Theolacor, and their scrim schedule was at like 5:30 a.m. my time or something.
Wow.
And maybe 6. And I have a rule that I don't roll out of bed for scrims or officials. So if I am trying to play
Well played. But on that, yeah.
then I'm always up a minimum of 2 hours early. So I wake up, I eat some food, I do my morning routine or whatever, and if I have time, I play a practice pub. If not, I'll watch some replays until it's ready or whatever. And then, the sun was coming in and I literally couldn't see. Like, it was schizo. I could not see my screen because I've never played that early, even though I played EU pubs. Yeah. So like game 1, I could not see my screen. And then after game 1, I like found a blanket and put it there. But
nice. Yeah.
So that's one thing. The second thing is, this is a specific detail, but I think that going into depth on it is good because I think it provides scaffolding that I suppose wouldn't occur to people. But 2v2s are the side lane version of 1v1s, and they're just as important as 1v1s. And the way you do it is, just to get into the nitty gritty, is you load up your lobby with cheats on in all pick, and then the way I do it, that there are 2 ways to do the hero picks. One of them is, this is all with the captain's mode mindset. So one of them is you take your Warlock PA. You take your lane that you are going to pick blind in your drafts because you think it is really good. And then you just pick it and you let the enemy, which is your off lane and your forward, you let them double counter pick you. Yeah. And maybe you say like, okay, I'll play Warlock PA into anything except this hero, this one hero. And then they can do whatever else they want. And then you just sort of limit test your lane. You learn all your matchups for that lane. And then you learn, okay, this lane is resilient enough that it can lane into anything, maybe except this one hero, or maybe this other hero is destroying you, so you swap out your ban. And now because this is like the drafting order. You know that in the draft, you get your double pick, and you get one ban to protect it, so you can secure this lane with this pick. The other way to do it is more of like the draft order of like simulating the back and forth, where it's like the most common way to do it if you don't have a specific lane you want to practice would be like, I'll just pick a hero that we pick pretty often, pretty early. I'll just be some Jakiro or whatever. And then the 4 will pick some hero that they like into Jakiro. So say they're Rubik. And then the 3 will also pick. They'll be like Rubik Legion or something.
So you go like 1-2-1.
Sort of. Yeah. And then there's sort of like a gentleman's rule of like, just don't pick things that are good practice, right? If they pick some hero that cannot possibly deal with Naga Ilus, and my carry can pick Naga and 1v2 the lane, then sure, he can, but we're not going to learn anything from it.
Yeah, I see.
So no like disgusting counter picks and stuff like that. You load into the game. The cheats are on because you give yourself, everyone gives themselves 80 gold. And then you like use the teleport command to like put down sentries and stuff that are realistic. Like my pet peeve is when I would play 2v2s and my 4 would ward the hill. Like when I'm Radiant, they would just ward that hill every game. And I'm like, bro, in how many of our scrims are we warding that hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like
he just sees everything. Yeah, he literally just sees everything. It's like, okay, dude.
That hill isn't there anymore, which is interesting. I like that they removed that.
But like, even just like obsing your lane, like putting the best obs you can in your lane, I think it's unrealistic. I go even further.
You're not even using the obs a lot of the times. Like a lot of the times, I feel like the obs are getting used on the runes these days, right? So it's like you wouldn't have an obs in your lane.
Yeah, if I don't think I would have an obs, I don't put one. If I'm laning a coddle, maybe I'll put an obs, right? If I have a reason that I would ask for an obs in the game. And then I also buy a smoke and break it because that's just what every game is like for me.
Yeah, that's very realistic. So make it as realistic as possible.
Yeah, and then you can do the start game command to save everyone, like, and you get into a rhythm of this, and then it saves like a minute.
When do you end the 2v2? Like it 5 minutes?
5 or 6 usually.
Okay,
Five or
so you
six,
don't
because
just
the
like
subs are
fight to the
usually
death. You like end it at a good time, like a realistic time when the lanes.
Like when you feel like the lane's been like concluded and
Okay.
you got to practice him.
And then if you really, so I'm a very, very detail oriented person. So actually, I forgot. I don't buy a smoke. I buy a blood grenade, and I throw the blood grenade in the fountain because that's my forest blood grenade. So like, it mimics the stock of blood grenades that I would have.
Stock.
Nice.
Holy. Yeah,
That's
that's
And
really
then-
detailed.
And then
That's
if
really
you do start game command, the stock for raindrops doesn't like go up by the amount that the game went up. So it's like I'm laning Visage and it's minute 3 and my raindrop should be coming on courier. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who does this, but I'm super detail oriented. I buy a ring of prot and a branch and I send those out on the courier. And then when they reach me, I use cheats to give myself a raindrop. And I break those items.
Yeah. Wow.
That's really smart. Yeah.
But like
That's
most
really
people, that's like too much work, which is understandable. So
It
they'll
is a
just
lot of
like
work.
they'll just like cheat a raindrop into their inventory at 3 minutes 20 or whatever, and then like not spend 225.
Yeah. And how often would you run these 2v2s when you're like in full like team mode? Every day?
It depends on the team.
Okay.
It depends on what our problems were. If our problems were in the lane, then we would be like, guys, we can't learn anything from these scrims because we're losing our lanes too hard. We can't play Dota. And then that's always the first thing. So if that's the problem, then you run your 2v2s as much as you need to. If you are laning with a new carry and you guys aren't clicking, you have to run a lot of 2v2s.
Yeah.
We would do it, we would schedule them, just like scheduling the scrims. The best time to do 2v2s, in my opinion, if you're only going to implement them at one point in time, would be, for example, in the DPC, when I was playing in Div 2 DPC, much less tryhard. These guys didn't want to scrim. That's fine. I didn't play like any scrims with them. But what I did is before our official, I had everyone come in 2 hours early and I talked to them about what I wanted to draft, like made sure that we were on the same page there. And then my mid player would go off and play 1v1s and then we would play 2v2s for like an hour. And then we would like talk to each other. I actually think that that's a big important thing. It's like if you're loading into the official and like the last guy doesn't join the Discord call until the draft is over, it's like it's just like weird. Like you're not comfortable with each other. Like you're not warmed up like to communicate and just to work together.
Yeah. I mean, the warm-up's so important in like physical sports, professional physical sports. So it makes sense that it'd be important here too. Wow. This is all new information to me, like the 2v2s.
Yeah,
That's
I honestly
really-
didn't realize that
really
teams are
insightful
doing
to
it that
hear.
much. I mean, it makes sense, but like,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Next, just as insightful question. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color? I think it's gray.
Gray is crazy.
That is
It's like
crazy.
the only
I think
person
gray's
I've
a
ever
cool
met
color.
that it is a cool color.
Yeah.
I think
It's
the only person
underrated,
I've ever
I
met
think,
that likes it.
fashion.